Okay, I'll admit everyone.
Hello, everybody. Those who are coming in, welcome. We're just getting started. We're going to let everybody stream in and we're going to begin. So give us 1 or 2 more minutes. Welcome to everybody streaming in. How is your Friday going? I really appreciate that you're here just before your Friday evening plans. Welcome to AI in Marketing. We're going to begin in maybe 2 more minutes. But quick question. Anybody in the audience used AI? Are you using AI? Maybe you can put in the chat the name of the AI that you've been using or trying or testing, or even if you're curious. Anybody? ChatGPT, anybody? Using ChatGPT and Claude. Thank you, Rachel. You have your own AI project, Becky.sg. That's awesome. Eric, I'll be sure to check it out later. Thank you for sharing. Okay. 1 more minute and we are going to start. Anybody else curious about any type of AI or you've been using it? Anybody who works in marketing? Nice. You've been using ChatGPT, Gemini, and Microsoft. Anybody who works in marketing, you can raise your hand or maybe like put an emoji in the chat so I know you are particularly in marketing. Because I think today we'll have 2 different types of people. Maybe one, like marketers who are trying to change maybe your workflows or optimize it better. And then 2, maybe we'll have like smaller teams, our founding teams or entrepreneurs who are trying to make the small size work for you. And I think AI can be an awesome co-pilot for your marketing. Which camp do you fall under? Or maybe you are neither and you have a different profile. Feel free to put it in the chat. Okay, while you do that, I'm going to begin. So thank you everybody who has streamed in. I want to do a quick introduction before we jump in. My name is Anya, and I work at Hatch Media House, and I lead Media House. We're a digital design and marketing agency. We partner with organizations of all sizes, all the way from small to medium-sized businesses to impact organizations and even government agencies, and navigate their projects and their organizations in this digital world. Yes, this is recorded, so be sure to we'll send you a link to the recording, I think, after this, but it will also be available on YouTube. If you are particularly sensitive, keep your camera closed, not a problem at all. But otherwise, just letting you know. Yeah, so we work at Media House in all range of teams and projects. And the thing is, We are a small team, so we're not like a large agency doing really big types of teams and specialists. So we really look at AI as a co-pilot, as like someone that everybody uses as part of our day-to-day work. And we're trying to encourage you to think about what does it mean for you, your personal work, your marketing work, your organizational work, your team's work, to enhance it using AI marketing processes. So at the end of this session, you'll have examples and practical knowledge and tips to boost your marketing efforts using AI. I'll be going through 3 very specific examples, but that's not all. We have to start somewhere, and just remember that you can always jump in the chat. I'm going to leave a small section at the back for you to even ask questions based on like ideas that you may have received or something very unique to you. And if you feel like we didn't get around to chatting with you or addressing your particular use case, or if you have any questions, I'll leave you my email at the end. You can always reach out and I'll be happy to guide you or chat with you later. So in this session, we're going to dive into how AI can transform your marketing and make it easier, smoother, faster. But the workflow is going to look a little different, right? So we're going to discover AI tools that make technical aspects of digital marketing easy to work with. I can, of course, recommend very specialized niche tools. But one thing to note is with every AI tool we use, the complexity as well as the cost associated with it increases. So we'll try to keep it accessible even in terms of pricing, and see if like there are free tools that you can use, free plans that you can use. And then we'll go through like real life demos of these tools in action so that you can go back and try on your own, and you can learn how to apply these AI actions for your business or your organization. All right. So we are looking at something called AI enhanced workflows for marketing. What would traditionally be maybe everything done manually, the ideation, the strategy, the execution. We are now thinking about what parts can AI come in and how does that change the workflow. So I'll give you an example. Right off the bat, at the top, I've said SEO support based on strategies we develop. So I think one thing to note is AI is a great starting point if you are at a business or an organization where the strategy hasn't typically been highlighted or identified or worked on. I think every organization needs a focused plan of action. And AI is a really great starting point that's also cost effective to get you started. But let's say that you are at a different scale stage for your business. You need something that's very unique based on what's working and what's not working for your organization already in terms of marketing. So that's where Media House, we would prepare something very strategic. That means we look at how the entire website or your content plan is performing. We look at what are your business goals, and then we would prepare like a keyword research and what we would want to target with a content plan or with the website. And then let's say we put together a document, and then we're going to use that document along with an AI to create content or to co-pilot content, or to even get that content to maybe like a 50 to 80% of the way. But I will always say and insist, at this day and age when everything is AI enhanced or can be produced by AI, it probably will not be very different from one person giving the same prompt to another person in another business and maybe like in a similar industry giving the same prompt. So what's really going to take your content the next step and boost it and even make it like spectacular is that human layer that adds in on top, that final like 10, 20 or 40% of the effort on top of the AI's work. It takes it from being generic to really interesting, incorporates your lived experiences, incorporates the collective wisdom of your team and what you've been working on, and also prevents errors from going out in your work. So that's typically how the workflow would shift. And we also do a lot of like copywriting for websites and landing pages. ad copy based on ad strategy, social content, and caption based on all of this. So there's like that first level where maybe I can start with something like ChatGPT or Claude, for example, and that's level one. Then level two would be like creating like a custom AI, like, like a jet. Like, has anybody in the chat tried custom GPTs? Quick checking. Put like a hand or an emoji to let me know if you have, or say no if you have not. So what we will also do is we will train a custom GPT. So let's say if I have all of my documents, maybe I have meeting notes, maybe at Media House, we have our own approach to things. We will document all of that and train a custom GPT with our documents. And the next time I need to create an output for a client or maybe a similar type of content style, I have already trained it and I would just need to go in and prompt it. So that's the next level. You can get there once you have more clarity on your workflows in the level one. So don't worry, we'll probably go over the level two in another session, and we look forward to taking you in that session as well. But for today, we're going to focus on a couple of simple things to get you started in your marketing journey using AI. So the first one I'm going to start with is SEO headline creation with AI. Can I get a quick check? Anybody focusing on SEO, blog posts, content writing, maybe optimizing your website for search visibility? How important is this for you, the work you're doing? Is this something you've already started, or is this something you want to optimize processes for? Put it in the chat as I'm going through this, and I will answer some of your thoughts or questions, or tailor some of what I'm sharing to your situation, or based on what your team needs. Okay, so basically SEO headlines are what, if you search for something, I get a search result on Google, and ideally we want to incorporate keywords. So here, if you see, I've searched for on-page SEO, and then in the results, the target keyword is on-page SEO. And it kind of explains what the page is about right in the headline, but also makes a great headline for me to click into. And then there's a little bit of text over here, which is what we call the meta description. So this is very, very important, because how do people know what you're doing or working on Google, right? How do you reach more people who may have questions that the content that you're producing at your company, or the content that you may have the opportunity to produce for your organization, would be helpful for people? So that's where the connection really happens, and you get to expand your audience and find newer audiences to nurture. So some quick tips that we will incorporate or think about and hold in our mind as we work with AI for crafting SEO headlines is we need the keywords to be in the headlines. So this is typically either dictated by the keyword strategy that we may have developed, or easiest way is you always Google and see what people are actually typing into Google. So when you Google, you will always see, are you also looking for, do you mean this? Or when you go to the end, it starts giving you questions, right? So those are all things and questions that people ask that you can naturally incorporate into your headline. And then there's something called a search intent, which is what is it that they're looking for? Like when I type ice cream into Google, am I looking to eat ice cream? Am I looking for a recipe? Or am I looking for an ice cream bar near me so I can go eat ice cream there, right? So that's really search intent, that people are trying to find a suitable action out of this, and Google is trying to make that guess. So your headline should also convey what that search intent would be. And because it is a fixed space on Google search, the length is typically between 50 to 60 characters, and the longer headlines will just get a little bit of a ... at the end. So you must ensure that your headline clearly conveys your value proposition, and don't be too vague, but don't be too simplistic at either, or too generic. So it must be relevant to what you're doing as an organization. So really, the role of AI is to craft catchy headlines, but they're also SEO optimized. And bonus points, if you have a content plan or a strategy, you can upload those documents as to boost what the AI is doing to give it more context, but you don't need it as a starting point. I will show you how to create like headline options in ChatGPT in just a couple minutes. We'll input a topic and see the AI in action, and then you can try this after this session, okay? And here as well, right? In ChatGPT particularly, there's a web browsing feature where if you ever feel like you need to optimize the headline of an existing page on a website, you can feed it a URL, ask it to browse it, and then give you suggestions. But here I'm going to take the assumption that maybe we're writing a new content piece and I want to create a headline for that based on the content piece so that it clicks. And this is so important because people may not click. The number of times I have scrolled past something on Google after I searched it because it didn't feel relevant, it didn't feel right, it didn't feel like it was going to answer my question or what I was looking for is quite high. I'm sure you would have done that as well. So here, a couple of quick steps to think about when you are asking, because AI doesn't really have the context of who you are, who you're trying to reach, what your organization does, what is the intention of this headline and the article that you might be wanting to write. So keep in mind that you have to state the main topic of your content and then identify something really important, like maybe a unique point of view or an angle that you've identified to emphasize in the headline. And a bonus, if you can describe who your target audience is and what might be super relevant to them. So here, as an example, I have this prompt. It says, create an SEO-friendly headline for an article about sustainable fashion targeting young adults. So here I'm saying I want a SEO-friendly headline. And then it says this is an article. For the article, okay? Then I'm saying this is the niche, sustainable fashion, and then the target audience is young adult. This is just the starting point. Your prompt doesn't have to stop there. You can keep giving it more examples because often sometimes you'll notice that the very first instance of the answer that it gives you may not be the most relevant. Okay, so let's jump into ChatGPT. Give me one moment while I switch my screen and reshare ChatGPT. Okay, stop the screen share. Okay. Can everybody see my screen? Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can see it. Did I see any thumbs up in the chat? I want to make sure you can see the screen, yeah? Okay, never mind. We'll go with it. I'm going to assume you are able to see it. If you are not, I see a thumbs up. Thank you so much. Okay. So in the example prompt, I had something for a sustainable fashion industry, like a blog post. I don't have the exact words right now, so I will try to write something similar. So you'll see how I'm also crafting. Please write an SEO-friendly headline for an article about sustainable fashion for young millennials who love to thrift budget-friendly items. So here you can see I wrote sustainable fashion, which is the topic. I wrote young millennials, and I also said this is what they're interested in, and they like to thrift, and they are budget friendly, not briefly. They are budget conscious. So right off the bat, if I put this, it gave me one answer. Do you think that's enough for us when we are writing an article and we're trying to ideate creatively? Sometimes I feel like even if the first answer looks interesting or helpful, it's probably not the best idea to stop right there. So it says sustainable fashion, thrifting, budget-friendly styles for eco-conscious millennials. So here I want to say, can you give me 5 options? So that's one way I can give it like some more prompts. Thrifting on a budget, sustainable fashion tips for eco-conscious millennials. So very interesting, right? It gives me 5 options. And now I'm thinking a little bit more about, is my millennial audience really going to like it when they're called out as a millennial in the headline? I'm not sure. I will say, can you make it more hip, young, and relatable? I am not sure if calling them millennials in the headline is helpful. So one thing to note is when you are writing your prompts, it is almost like a conversation. As you can see, I am telling it what I like. I'm telling it what I don't like. I want to tell it what to include. I want to tell it what not to include. So don't feel that as soon as you write one thing and the final answer is right there. Think of it as something you're going to shape. So it's very helpful if you have some form of opinions or creative vision. And it's okay that it takes time to articulate. It's very likely that you will look at it and you go, that's very meh, like that kind of internal feeling. So honor it and try to put words to it and put it into ChatGPT. So let's see. That is so much more relatable, right? Fashionably green, how to thrift stylish and eco-friendly outfits. It's very likely that someone who's a millennial and looking to thrift, they are typing in like, oh, I'm a millennial, I want to, find a guide to thrift. They're not typing that into Google. And then I will say, help me identify one target keyword for the headline that is important for the article. So this is helpful because then you know that the search intent is really driving some of the headlines and the expectations from the article. So it could be sustainable fashion, and the keyword is highly relatable, making it essential for articles SEO strategy. Now let's shape it even further. Let's assume that I want it to be about Singapore. And so I'll say, can you make it a guide about this in Singapore for people who live here? So you can see how it started incorporating tips and giving me and shaping the 5 answers, right? So then I could even say, oh, I really like Thrift and Thrive, Sustainable Fashion Guide for Singaporeans. So I'll say, I like number 5. So, anytime you look at a headline, it kind of dictates. How do you check if this is a SEO-friendly headline? From SEMrush. Good question. So I would say if you already have keyword research done, you can just upload the document here. So you have data that is related to like volume, like search volume. What that essentially means for people who are new to SEO is that there are a certain number of searches on Google and it's able to show you how many people are looking for it. So if you decide that sustainable fashion is not the keyword, then your keyword research on SEMrush, or for people who are new, you can sign up for a free account on Google Ads, go to the tools section, and there is something called the keyword planner there, and just type in sustainable fashion as an example, or maybe your footwear brands. You can say shoes and sandals, or maybe you can put in the link to your website and keywords will emerge and you will see which one has a lot of volume. So this is where your keyword strategy and your SEO strategy will become important. If you have a content plan that shows that, oh, we need to write this article for this part of the buyer's journey, then we will be writing this article. So a lot of that is also important for this. And you'll be comparing against keyword data to know, is my website authoritative enough to compete against a very highly competitive keyword, meaning that there's a lot of people writing content for that? Or should I be going for something that is more long tail, meaning like a less competitive version of that? So what that means is sustainable fashion in Singapore is a different keyword from sustainable fashion guide for Singaporeans. My initial gut feeling without looking at the numbers on the back end would be that sustainable fashion in Singapore is more competitive than sustainable fashion guide for Singaporeans. So we would need to do keyword research, and then a good headline will match the exact search term that is shown on the keywords. Okay, so but it still reads very naturally. And so in this case, we're going to assume that I already have that keyword, and the one that I've chosen is sustainable fashion. I hope that answers. Continue asking questions, and I will answer them. So here I like number 5, and then I will say that I want to make it a listicle. Have anyone seen a listicle? I want to make it a listicle. A listicle is basically like, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. And these are very, very popular if you've read like on blogs or maybe like Smart Local and things like that, right? 5 must-do things, like things like that. It's very like clickbaity as well without, misleading people. So it's very helpful. So you can see I like number 5. So it took some inspiration from this, and it's trying to incorporate some of them into this. So you can see what really matches what you're going for, and then you can pick. So there's no right or wrong. Actually, when you look at it, I can write an article for all 10 things, right? There's no right or wrong. So you can start with the one that feels right for what your content plan is and move forward from there. So that's how you can shape this. You can go one step further and ask it to write a keyword-rich meta description. So what that basically means is, like we saw those 2 sentences under the headline. You can ask it to write that as well. So I will say, can you help me write a rich meta description for this article? Ideally, I would suggest take the headline, write the article first, and then, maybe have the article as a PDF, upload it here, add it from your drive, and then ask it to write a keyword-rich meta description so that you would have incorporated whatever words that you wanted to keep in, and then, it will honor those keywords, identify it, and help you write this. So in this way, you will read this and go, does this match my article? That's a good question to ask. I have not shown you the article. We have not written it. This is a hypothetical example, but in a real world situation, you will want to read this and edit this for a little bit. So for example, discover the best places to thrift with our ultimate guide, right? But then if my headline is 5 must-visit thrift stores, that doesn't feel much like the ultimate guide. That meta description, in fact, matches the ultimate Singapore thrift shopping guide, right? So you want to make sure that they match a little bit and that your expectations are met when someone comes to your article and reads it. And maybe you don't feel like you like this sentence, you can go in and manually change it a little bit, but the top 2 sentences are really, really important. You can also, again, continue to workshop this just like we did with the headlines. But as you can see, it got you to a really good place, like at least 50 to 60% of the way without having to feel like you have to create it from scratch, especially if you're not like a writer or a marketer, or maybe this is not your primary function, or maybe you want to do things a little faster. I think it's faster to edit from something there and move forward from there. Any questions before we move on to the next thing? Any questions from the audience? I'm going to go back to my slides. Give me 1 second. Okay, looks like no questions. Let me share. For creative marketing, the keywords for the headline and meta description should match each other. That's right. And ideally, you continue to sprinkle the same keywords around the entire article. Especially give it a nice introduction and give it a nice summary conclusion, but don't overdo it. Like it shouldn't read like the ultimate guide for the ultimate shopping experience for the ultimate eco-friendly conscious, like that's too much. So whatever is a pleasurable reading experience, and make sure that it matches, like if I'm saying sustainable fashion, maybe the introduction should also have that keyword and the summary should also have that keyword. Yeah, I hope that helps. I did not understand the question that says for keyword marketing. If you could explain a little bit more. So yes, so when you are working with AI for your keywords and headlines, be sure to look at different options. Do not take the first option. It may be that maybe you'll go back to the first option, explore specific angles or details, ask it to give you like different variations. Sometimes you can even do sort of like an A/B testing with variations to see which performs better. And over a period of time, you will understand like what your personal preference is and what is working and delivering results for you. Right? And never, just a quick reminder, do not use it without looking at it. Don't just copy paste it into your website or your blog article. Always review it, after you generate the headlines. I'm sharing these prompts for you to try out. So different types of articles have different types of prompts, and like I said, I want it to be a listicle. So there's different formats for writing about the same content. In this way, you can extend the way the content is being read. So if you want to take a photo of this, or if you want to take a screenshot, but don't worry, there will be a YouTube recording of this as well. Louis, yes. I think the YouTube recording, so I will encourage you to take pictures. If you are not already on the Go Digital ASEAN platform, we will put up the slides there. So I think the slides will be there. So I'm going to move on in 3, 2, 1, and a second slide. Just for you to get started, and I think that will really give you a leg up when you're experimenting. How do you do A/B testing? So particularly for A/B testing, it's either likely that you have to do 2 articles. So maybe let's say we had like, those 5 headlines, you do 2 separate articles, but do not repeat the content exactly as it is. Change the angle for it. So let's say one could be like hidden places in Singapore. The other one could be the ultimate guide that lists a lot more things. So then really the content is similar. You can overlap some amount of the content. The words are not the same. And then you can see its performance. What you should be looking at for the performance is, if you don't already have it, every website should be linked to a free account from Google Search Console. So if you don't yet have an account, definitely sign up for it, and you can see your performance on Google. You can see which of your pages are getting clicks, which keywords are leading to people clicking into your website and pages. So when you're assessing the keywords performance, you can go into your Google Search Console and see between the 2 articles, which has more clicks, which has what type of keywords that people are clicking in. The other way to do an A/B testing would be to have something more advanced. I think it's called Google Optimize, if I'm not wrong, where you just change only the headline. But I think the easier way is just to do 2 articles and test over a period of time which one is ranking higher for sustainable fashion. I hope that helps. We have more digital marketing content. So I think we on the Go Digital ASEAN platform, if you're not already there, we go over in some of the content what to do if you are looking at assessing keywords like analytics. So then what is Google Search Console and some of the content. So definitely be there to check it out. It's all free. So the next one I'm going to talk about is optimizing hashtags with AI. And you know, a lot of times we have really like, oh, what hashtags do I use for this post? How many should I use? It's kind of confusing. The platforms keep changing, but the idea is that hashtags help us reach more people and they connect posts to topics, trends, and conversations. Again, there's no right or wrong. I would ideally say everyone should have a hashtag strategy, but it can be very expensive or time consuming and energy consuming to have one. So, sorry. Sometimes you just need some keywords to get the job done. And here we're looking at a AI workflow to get the job done for our hashtag strategy. So here, choosing hashtags is very important for relevance. And then there is a mix of broad and niche tags. And what do I mean by broad? You know, something like cat is a super broad, like hashtag cat is very broad. But then hashtag cats in Singapore is very niche, right? It's only going to be for cats in Singapore. So then you have hashtags that have very large volumes in the same sense, and then a very small volume based on what the hashtag content is. And then sometimes there may be hashtags that are trending in your industry, but only use them if you've seen other people use it and you think it's working well for them. Here, I'm going to share today what could be something interesting to use with AI. They can analyze, you know, like sometimes they have access to the internet and suggest impactful hashtags or thought around it to cut the work short for you. I'm not saying that what they're doing is going to be perfect or amazing, but I think it will really get the job done and help you move forward. And you can test it over a period of time and refine it. And then I'm going to use this tool called Perplexity. Has anyone heard of Perplexity before? Yes, no? Okay, so hashtags still relevant in searches. Do people still search using hashtags or directly? Hashtags are relevant on some platforms. For example, on TikTok, some hashtags are relevant, but we're no longer doing like, you know, like at one point I recall on Instagram, we were doing like 30 hashtags, which is the maximum you can do. I don't think we're doing that anymore. And on LinkedIn also, just a couple of quick ones, just so that the content can be amplified. They are a good way of platform-specific search engine. But I think the platforms are getting more sophisticated, meaning that they're also analyzing the content in the captions to push content in front of people. But don't ignore the power of like good 3 to maybe 5 hashtags chosen strategically to, and then it's not about one hashtag giving you a huge volume, but think about like if you end up creating a series of posts every day, and every day you are reaching maybe 20 to 50 new people because of those hashtags. And that really compounds, right? If I do that every day over a 30-day period, that's 20 times 30, and that's a lot of people. And then this is for smaller accounts. If you're a larger account, then maybe, you know, it's very different in terms of the scale of numbers. So I would still say they're still relevant. Yeah, some of them are spam, so be sure to double check before you use it. Some of the hashtags contain a lot more spam, but some still do not. They're still quality content. The Google quotes for exact search doesn't seem to work anymore. Does that affect SEO strategy in Google? The quotes for exact search. Louis, can you share more while I share this? what is the quotes for exact search? Is it the one where you put like the double quotes and then put something in it to look for the exact word? Give me a while I reshare my screen for Perplexity. Example, I use tissue paper hashtag holder. It still works. So there are 3 types of keywords on Google: exact match, broad match, and phrase match. So what you are referring, the exact search match, as you're saying, it's still working, but Google is getting smarter. So it does affect SEO strategy, but I would say it affects it more for ad strategy, not so much SEO strategy when you're doing Google ads for keywords, yeah? Let me share Perplexity. Give me one more moment. Okay. I would say I just read the question. I would say don't try to analyze platforms by which hashtag. Go by where your audience is most active and where they're most likely to engage with your brand's content or your organization's content, yeah? And then you see what sort of hashtag strategy to use for that platform. So don't go the other way. What your audience will engage with will be the most important thing, because they are the ultimate people that we're trying to connect with. Okay, so we are now in Perplexity, and I have, like Perplexity is like Google search, but AI search. So it will try to search for things on the internet to answer, and it has a lot of language models tied to it. So for example, it has ChatGPT to answer, it has Claude to answer. So today we'll try to explore, and what I'm going to give it is, on Hedge Media House's page, we previously created like a 10-post carousel about, like why, let's say, why having outdated website is maybe hurting your business. I'll share quickly what that post looks like. I have a PDF version of this post, so you can see this is the signs of an outdated website, and we go through details of a little bit of an educational post, and we say this is what you need to do, this is what websites can do, and then we have a final slide here about Media House. So you can see the intent is educational, but also a little bit of awareness about Media House services here. So for Media House particularly, we like to use LinkedIn because that's where our audience is and relevant to us, like I was sharing. And I want to create like maybe hashtags for this post. I have it as a PDF because then you can attach it here. So I'm going to attach this exact thing as a PDF. Let me reshare my Perplexity screen, yeah? Okay. Can you're all seeing my Perplexity screen, right? Double checking. Give me a thumbs up or a yes in the comments. Okay, I'm going to assume you can see. So I've put this in the as an attachment as a PDF. So I'm going to say I want to post this on my LinkedIn. As you can see, I'm actually not giving it a lot of context here. So we'll see what it does, because I already have information about Media House inside the PDF. We'll see how it reads it. I want to use hashtags to amplify this post on LinkedIn for my page's audience. Please suggest. So I'm saying I want hashtags and I want it to amplify this post for my audience. And then I'll say, please suggest. And we'll see with this very short prompt what it's going to do. So here is the process that it's taking. It searches for popular hashtags related to LinkedIn posts for this industry. Then it's analyzing LinkedIn's page audience to understand their interests and preferences. This is pretty much how this thing works as a co-pilot. And it's trying to select relevant hashtags to use on LinkedIn based on search and audience. And here is the answer. So you can see the sources are all here on the screen. So if you ever want to double check that the work or the source that it's finding this expert information from, you can always click through. It's even trying to give me a caption. And it's chosen to put hashtags in the middle of our in the middle of the caption itself and some at the end, which is very interesting because I've seen that on LinkedIn, the behavior is that people put captions like this. It's very unusual because they don't do this on like Instagram or TikTok that much. So then it's sharing, oh, this post is doing this, and these are the relevant hashtags. And there are 5 hashtags, which is the ideal number for reach and engagement based on LinkedIn best practices, is what it's saying. And they cover both broad and niche. Remember, I told you about that? For maximum impact. And then it says, feel free to adapt the language and hashtags as needed to align with your brand voice. So this is, and project details. So this is where it's interesting. If you had more project details as a document, this is where you can also upload it. And just like how we did on ChatGPT, we can also refine the voice around it. And then it says the key is to craft an intriguing post. And then now I'll say, can you share why you chose these hashtags? And as you can see, it has its own, AI logic as to what is it's going to look for before it answers my questions. And it's giving you a rationale. So do this check so you kind of understand before you go ahead and post. Also look up, 5 to 6 hashtags are not a lot to do a quick search on LinkedIn on the side or whichever platform it is for. And then just make sure that it's not spam, it's not like weird, like sometimes you have really weird spammy bot content. Just make sure it's not that, so that it fits in nicely. So this is Perplexity, and as you can see, it works differently from ChatGPT, and I hope that was helpful. My personal suggestion is maybe I wouldn't use all of this. I maybe would not use customer experience and innovations, but I would use like technology, digital transformation, and things like that. So that would be how I would edit from here. And then I might have already like created a caption somewhere before as I was making this post. So if I have it, I might upload it alongside here. So that's how I would shape this further. Any questions? Do you have any ideas on how you might use this for your own thing? You can see here that it is using Claude 3 Opus. I don't know if you've used Claude before, but this is one of the models that seems to reason and write well and popular these days. Any questions? You can put it in the chat. I'm going to go back to my slides now. Give me one moment. Was this a new experience? Anybody tried Perplexity before? Or used it in this way before? Are you curious to try? Coming back. Okay. So it's all quite new. Is there a summary on what to do to implement all of these later? Yes, I have the slides which will be on the Go Digital platform. I have the step-by-step process and example prompts. So don't worry, don't feel like you have to take it all at the same time. The important thing is I would love it if you let this open up possibilities for you and what it can do for you. So here I have step-by-step on what to do. Identify your content theme. I shared that you can upload the document, you can specify your target audience. And in my case, it was already inside the post, so I didn't. And you can use these types of basic prompts to generate responses. And once you have responses, evaluate what it suggested, refine where you need to, but it's taken you like 60% of the way. What you would need to do is review, do a quick check and see, yeah, I think these fit what I'm trying to go for with this post. And then you're good to start using. The important thing is use it and then see how your performance is going. Don't try to evaluate after just one performance. Use it consistently over a month or 2 months and see how the process feels for you or your team, what the data is saying about, this process. Has it changed the way people are interacting or how many people are responding to this? I'm not saying it has to increase your presence. This potentially could make the process faster, but give you similar outcomes, or sometimes even better outcomes. So see what comes of it for you and then make a call on how to improve it. I also think once you first start, it can be all very new and awkward feeling, talking to an AI. But think of it as your conversational partner, and with time, you will feel comfortable and more confident with your answers. Again, I have a prompt list as an example. Just to get you started, even if you don't see the niche here, you can always change the niche as, like what is relevant for you. If you want to take a picture, but all of the slides will be on the Go Digital ASEAN platform later. This is the second list. Just to get you started. Sometimes a blank prompt space is the most terrifying. So if you have something to start with, you can build on it and see how you want to shape it further. Any other questions before we move on to the next one? Hey, feel free to pop in the chat whenever you have it. I'm going to move forward. Okay. Okay, final one. This is the third example that we will be going through and reviewing together. I've particularly chosen these three as a way to complement like 3 channels. So the first one was website and blog and SEO. The second one was social. And then this third one is direct, which is email. If as an organization or as a business, you haven't been emailing people yet, and I'm not saying like everybody needs to have a newsletter. It can even be like, personal emails that go out as a one-to-one interaction, or like automated email sequences that you have set up, or maybe even just like a welcome, thank you for signing up, thank you for your interest, or maybe once a month sending updates to people who are interested. I 100% think this is what every organization needs to be doing. So out of the 3, this is the one I would recommend the most. So please get started if you haven't yet. And if you want some more resources, go to the platform and put in your questions or ask questions. We'll be happy to guide you. So I've chosen email because I feel like it's a conversation that happens in your inbox, and it can be an even more powerful one when you have AI to help you do some of the heavy lifting for you, right? Because previously it used to be that I had to craft a single email right by hand. But if AI can get you half the way there, then why not? Then making it, personalizing it, or setting up like email journeys for people will be so much easier. And this is also one of those things where between social media and like WhatsApp messaging and things like that, I would say email in some sectors, they don't open it as much. So you have to, maybe it's WhatsApp for you. So you can personalize WhatsApp messages, copy paste it if that's helpful for you. But I would say email in general, like think about the last time you bought something online, you got an email, or think about updates you get from some of your favorite people that you may have subscribed to. It's all email. And they are direct in people's inboxes versus, there's a lot of like SEO that you really don't know if people will reach or not. So as long as you have an email list or work towards building an email list, this is going to be very, very helpful for you. When you are writing email copy, a couple of good things to keep in mind is keep your language clear and concise unless you are very specific about reaching an audience that likes to read very lengthy things. That means like typically like, like when you like reading a book, right? And if you know your audience likes reading like that, but most industries are not like that. They should understand your message quickly. And your subject line, the one that you will see before you even open, is the most important one. It's the difference between opening or closing or like not even clicking into it. So make it catchy, make it interesting, make it relevant, and don't mislead them. Meaning that say what you mean without, misinformation or something that doesn't match what the email has to offer. And where you can, personalize using the recipient's name. This particular section can be done if you are using an email service. There are lots of email services that can start free, both for B2B marketing and B2C marketing. And then you can have a paid tier as you grow. So be sure to like, insert personal names or like maybe share like, oh, you looked at this. Do you want to do this? Have you ever tried to maybe like add something into your cart? Like maybe on a, like, for example, I was shopping for sunglasses, I think, on Decathlon. I added it to my cart and I had logged into my web account on Decathlon. And then they were like, yeah, you forgot this. Do you want this? Are you still looking for it? And I got that email. I'm sure you might have gotten that at some point for something else. Not saying that we are large consumers or companies like Decathlon, but it can still be used. Hey, it's like, hey, thank you for coming to this event. Hey, thank you for your interest in this. Hey, thank you for signing up to this. Hey, Anya, thank you for this. Hey, Anya, are you interested in this? And it's quite personal. It's quite lovely. And it really feels like it's not mass marketing when we live in a world where everything is being shouted at us from all directions. And this is the interesting part, right? Make it super valuable for them and state what that email benefit is. Like, why should they read? What's in it for them? Meaning like, as if they click in, right at the top, there should be something, whether with your visuals or whether with your email copy, like what it's about or what's in it for them so they can continue reading it. Otherwise, they might just delete it or click away. So start with an interesting opening and engage them with that. So those are some quick tips for email, and craft like maybe call to action at the end as well. This is super important. And most emails are read on mobiles these days. So make sure your copy does not take up the entire screen on mobile without any spacing. Make your sentences shorter or make like single paragraph using like 1 or 2 sentences. Don't make it like large chunks of text. Break it up with either spaces or break it up with maybe images in between. And if you have any numbers on like, oh, these many people were interested, or these many people came, or this is how much money we raised for this, or this is who's using our product, things like that. And then also build in any stories where it's relevant and make your message memorable. With A/B testing for email, when you're using a platform provider, they will help you with A/B testing themselves if you want to test like headlines and subject lines and things like that. So this is the next level. You don't have to start with that, but it's very helpful. Where AI comes in is you can create a unique copy for each segment. So for example, let's assume that I'm the owner of a gym and I'm starting a new app, right? I can get signups for the app from people who are not necessarily gym members. But I can also sound out to my gym members, right? So the two of them are very clear, two different segments. But maybe the message is, hey, I'm launching the app, come join us. So I still need to angle the messaging differently for the two segments. And that's very important because otherwise it will seem too generic and not relevant enough, right? So for this, I'm going to use Claude to craft email copy for maybe the two segments that I will just share with you right now. As I'm going to switch my screen, feel free to pop in any questions if you have about email while I do that. Give me one moment. So I'm now on Claude. Can you see my screen? Has anyone been on Claude before? I know when we started the session, someone said they've been using Claude, so that's nice. So you already know. So as you can see on Claude, they have different models and they are saying, this is what this model is good at, meaning like the AI model behind, but the platform is called Claude. Excels at writing, fast for daily tasks. So for now, I'm just going to go with what is here. Again, here you can upload images or documents that you have to further shape it. So let's say you really have like a, oh, this is what the app is about, all of that written, but it's not written like an email. You can always upload it here to shape it further. But for now, I'm just going to type something along the lines of, hey, I'm doing an app and can you help me write emails? So let's see how that goes. I'm launching a fitness app called My Fitness Pal. I want to write email for two of my audience segments, gym members and new signups to the app. I want the email to welcome them to the app. As you can see, I have not given it any details about what the app is, so it's going to imagine what the details are. But for you, if you have a specific project, definitely write it in and like, this is what the app does. Otherwise, it will start creating things out of the blue as you will see when I put it in. Okay. Two separate emails it's going to do. As you can see, it's already creating like a subject line as well. And now it's creating the second email. That was really fast, right? So let's take a look. So this is how Claude works. It's creating this mini document. So say, welcome to My Fitness Pal, your new gym companion. That's so nice, right? Like it kind of understands the intention behind me saying I want to introduce this to my gym members. You can totally change the tone of voice. So, and you know here, these sections are written. So this is where you can also break it up if you wanted to and make it more visual. But it's so nice that it's already thinking of, oh, to get started, this is what you need to do. This is a great starting point. So let's look at the other email for new signups. So this is assuming that they just signed up on maybe from a website or downloaded this. And this is assuming that this is what my app does because I did not give it any details. So you can see how where it does not have details, it's making up things. So it's very, very important for you to tell it exactly what your product does or does not do, okay? In this case, it's helping me because I'm sharing how to go about doing this. But yeah, so it's also saying like, oh, get started, set your profile up, log your meals and activities. And it's also like interesting. It's saying, oh, look, small steps lead to big changes. It's not I chose Claude because I think sometimes ChatGPT tends to sound very cringy and Claude does writing better. So they do have a free plan if you want to try it out. It sounds like a great starting point. And then I will say, I want to add a personal story of me overcoming a leg injury. And that's why I created this. So now I'm going into like some narrative storytelling. Wow, look at it. It's making up my story for me. So this is called, if this was not intentional, you gave it information and it refused to listen to your information and it made up things, it would be called hallucination. So always look at what it created for you and read it. In this case, because I don't actually have a product, I'm fine with it reading and sounding like this. But the more details you give, the better it will be able to capture your nuance and your particular situation. So you can see, oh, wow, I'm the founder. I'm thrilled to share my story and this tool. So it changed the format of this email and the copywriting is very interesting. And it's saying, oh, this is my journey. And that's why this app was born. And so whether you're just starting out or recovering, this is what you can do. This is what the app can help you do. And it's so different, isn't it? So writing email just got easier. And then this is for the gym members. As a dedicated gym goer for your fitness gym journey. So this is very helpful because when someone is able to mirror back that they understand you, that piece of communication enters their world in a more receptive way. And that's why personalizing email content is very, very powerful. Any questions about what I shared? Are you all excited to try some of these things? I hope it can help you in some of your day-to-day tasks, or maybe even some tasks that you've been putting off or meaning to try in a while. And then you can copy it right here and paste it and edit it in your chosen document editor. So here it's giving placeholders for my name and stuff. I would definitely need to edit it. So yeah, give me 1 second. I'm going to go back to my slides. But while I'm doing that, do share in the chat if this is something you want to try. Anybody have any thoughts? So as you saw, there was quite a lot that I did and it outputted very easily. And for you, I would say if you're thinking of where do you start with personalizing different emails, start with the main goal of your email. What do you want it to do? That would be your call to action. In my case, that example, it was downloading and using the app. And really consider the characteristics and preferences of your target audience. And that's where the power of segmentation is interesting and useful. And put that into your AI prompt. This is very short, but give it as many details as you can. But this is a great starting point. And then put that into Claude and see what it creates for you. Analyze, review, always refine and reshape some of that and use it. So the goal is really to make the process shorter for you to get a draft. And then from there, you can edit it and refine it and get it out of the way, and get it out into the world in a faster way. I have, again, some more examples if you want to take a look. So there's different kinds of emails that you can write. You can replace here, for example, in the product launch, the type of product, the type of audience, to suit your preference. But I have this prompt list that will be very useful based on what kind of emails you're writing. If you want to take a photo, but don't worry, you will have access to the platform where you can go on and have access to the slides as well. I'm going to give you 1 minute and then, and then go to the next slide. Lots more emails. We'd be surprised at how many different types of emails, right? It looks like all words, but they all have a unique angle, a unique way to craft a message in a way that is useful, helpful, and creates connection with your audience. So yeah, this wraps up the third way to be using AI. In some platforms, I don't know if you've been using it, you can write the content right there in that platform. That's even better. But otherwise, the prompts that I create are not restricted to the tools I used. You can use it on ChatGPT. You can even go to Perplexity and ask it to write it. You can use Claude, and I hope, like, by showing you 3 options that have a free tier, you can start doing way more. And they're all interchangeable. So go out, put them in all 3 different tools and see how different or similar the answers can be, what you like, what you don't like. So as a little recap, we explored SEO headline creation, optimizing hashtags, and email marketing personalization today to help you use and incorporate more AI in your marketing journey. I definitely encourage you to start integrating and experimenting with these tools with your marketing practices. Figure out, can you recommend cost-effective and beginner-friendly email marketing provider? Definitely. There are 2, Klaviyo and Klaviyo is the one I recommend. They have a free plan. I think, if I'm not wrong, up to 500 contacts. Yeah, glad to help. They have lots of connections as well to embed into your website. If, like, not all tools have to be paid in the beginning when you start using it. Yeah, try different workflows. It might be a little different, especially when I'm saying, like, we are used to create everything from scratch. So the AI workflow is really get a draft to a certain stage and then refine it from there. And maybe even shape the final output with the AI. And keep learning. There's a lot of developments in this space. So I'm really appreciative of how you all turned up to learn. With this, I'm going to open up for some Q&A time before we wrap up. So if you feel like, you can unmute and ask me, or you can put in the chat as well. Any final questions before we wrap up for the day? Anything, if you want to ask something more specific, about tools, about any other resources, this is the time. I'm going to assume someone out there is typing something, so I will wait for a couple of minutes, okay? But if not, I would love to hear, like, what was one surprising thing you learned that you're curious to try out? put it in the chat as well. I think it's helpful to know that we'll continue to shape this session. And while we are waiting, I kindly request, if you have a phone in front of you, maybe scan the QR code. The survey should take less than 1 to 2 minutes, but your feedback will mean a lot about how this content was useful or helpful and how we can continue to shape it further. Definitely give Claude a try. You can even, when you're trying to get the tone right, you can try to, like use words like, I want it to sound grounded. I want it to sound powerful. I want it to sound inspiring. You can also say, I want it to sound like this person that, like who is a public figure, maybe their speech is recorded a lot, and it can try to capture that. Or you can even put their words in a document and upload that and say, I want to match this tone. So those are all tips for Claude. Definitely give it a go. Because I think a lot of us are seeing a lot more ChatGPT written copy these days. And yeah, whether we know why exactly or not, but I think we can tell sometimes. Klaviyo, I got a question about Klaviyo. What is the review for Klaviyo? I would say it's really good at segmenting customers. It's not the best for B2B. So if you're looking for B2B, I would say start with HubSpot as the starter. They have a free plan. And when you're growing, you can grow with the plan as well. For Klaviyo, is more like maybe you run an e-commerce, or maybe you want to run like a monthly newsletter for your community. Yeah, Perplexity is amazing. Even if you want to do some research for your posts and content, it's a great start. I would say Copilot is also good. I'm not going to diss it. And Copilot creates some nice images as well. So do take the prompts and use it in Copilot and see what the output is as well. Like, don't dismiss it. I think some of these tools are doing really well. Someone mentioned Gemini at the top as well. So use it in Gemini as well. What are platforms or apps that we could use for hashtag optimization? So there's one called Slick, but it's not free. But they're one of the tools out there that do hashtag tracking, volumes, and things like that. And will give you a really good performance review for hashtags and suggestions. But it is a learning curve, because just because like the tool does it really well doesn't mean we know how to use it really well. So we need to be well versed in how to use the tool based on a particular way of thinking and strategy. But if I'm not wrong, they have an academy training as well on how to go about thinking about hashtags for usage. So I would see if you want to try it out and give it a shot. But hashtags are not the only way. Don't feel like you have to restrict yourself. There are other options in terms of what you're creating for your marketing. Do explore. If you feel like you don't know what next to do, there would be options. Any other questions? All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. If you haven't yet had an opportunity, do take a picture of the QR code. We would really appreciate your thoughts on shaping these sessions. We want to create more of them. After this, we will give you access to the platform if you don't already have it. All of the content for this is free. We're very thankful to our partners who've made this possible. And we're very excited for you to be able to take this journey and do more with your marketing and learn more along the way. There's a lot of resources. There's more than maybe 15-20 hours worth of content on the platform as well. Lots of resources to take on at your own pace. And we'll put the slides for today's session there as well. Thank you so much. And we will have more sessions. So keep your eye out on the platform. They're all free. We would love it if you want to come join us, learn, and take this journey together. Thank you so much. If you want to reach out, if you have any further questions, maybe you tried something and did work out or anything else, feel free to shoot me an email or drop me a message on LinkedIn. We work at Hatch Media House, and we want to make upskilling very easy for small to medium-sized business owners and teams, as well as make digital marketing something that works for everybody. Thank you so much. With that, we have come to the end of today's session, and I hope you all have a lovely Friday evening and a restful weekend ahead. Thank you, everybody. I will look forward to seeing you all in another session. Okay. See you. I need the host to close the room.